I'd give Campy a break on their behind-the-curve product development if their parts were at least beautiful, but modern Campy parts just don't look that special. These are some of the comments I've been receiving about what happened to Campagnolo. So I just thought I'd take some time and respond to the comments, which you're never supposed to do. This gentleman, he expresses what a lot of people have been saying, like Campy used to be like not only high performance, but beautiful. The new stuff, I described it as H.R. Geiger does mecha art. It's very blobby and weird, and I don't really think it makes bikes look better. Usually you used to put Campy parts on a bike and it would look better. It doesn't really feel like that anymore. Not that Shimano and SRAM are the pinnacle of beauty and grace, but their parts are at least anonymously generic enough to look okay on a bike. Campy used to be like, oh, you put that on, it would look amazing. It's like, oh wow, look at that crank, it's so beautiful. Obviously, it's so sculpted. They're just not there right now, and not that parts need to be beautiful. They should function first, but we have this expectation for Campagnolo to be performance and beauty, and they're just not there right now. Another one I got from Black Mutt here, regarding e-car. I'm grateful for an outstanding high-quality mechanical group set that doesn't rely on batteries. I mentioned e-car in there as their gravel group set and that they launched it 4 years ago and it's mechanical. I don't dislike mechanical groups. I'm not saying that e-car is bad because it's mechanical. My point is that there's this expectation in the marketplace for a high-end gravel group set to at least have an electronic option. And they haven't done that yet. Even more to the point, a lot of high-end frames that you'd put Campy parts on don't have any provision for mechanical group sets. It's just like a fundamental problem when the bikes you would put the e-car on, you can't do it because they only offer mechanical. They need to offer an electronic wireless option so you can literally put those parts on the bike you want to ride. INC5426, love those anonymous usernames. He took some issue with some of the things I wrote about the ergonomics. He's quoting me here. Stacked shift paddles are almost impossible to differentiate and feel cheap when pressed. I suspect they'll be a nightmare when riding with winter gloves. That's what I said. They respond, well, no. Dura-Ace shift paddles are commonly known as a nightmare with winter gloves. Super Record paddles are okay, though a bit small. I've ridden everything, and I live in Colorado, so I ride with thick winter gloves a lot. Yeah, Dura-Ace isn't great. SRAM is the best because they, one shift paddle, one direction, and it's just really easy. With winter gloves, without winter gloves, that shift logic seems to work best. But I would say there is a size difference in the paddles and also a texture difference, and they're also offset a little bit. So you can feel that bump. Although it's not perfect, it is okay. The Super Record stuff, they are the same shape, the same size, they're stacked on top of each other, they're really not offset. So when you're kind of reaching down, because they're stacked on top of each other vertically, whereas Dura-Ace is stacked front, fore, aft. So when they're stacked like this, the Super Record paddles, it's literally like you're trying to go up and down, which to me is harder to differentiate than going fore aft. There's just no distinction between the buttons that you can feel. So when your finger's on one, you can't tell which one you're on unless you happen to look over and see, where it's at. With the Dura-Ace, because there's that stagger and that offset and the texture difference and actually the physical shape difference, I feel like it's a little bit easier. So that's my experience. I'm sure not everyone's gonna be the same, but that's my experience. I spend a lot of time riding all the different groups, all the time, switching all the time. It wasn't easy to do with no gloves on. With winter gloves, I can't imagine. Quoting me again, the brake levers feel flexy and sluggish and provide little feedback. And then they say, no, no, no. Brake levers are very short and very thick pieces of stiff carbon fiber. They are never flexy. Absolutely unable to believe this statement, just no. Here's the thing, composite brake levers are flexy. They can be flexy. In fact, on the mountain bike side, which I do a lot of mountain bike stuff, the brake levers for most braking intensive parts of the sport, enduro, downhill, gravity sports where you're really using and pulling those brakes a lot, they use aluminum brake levers because they're stiffer. In fact, the new Maven brake, when they came out with it, SRAM used aluminum levers because, say it with me, they're stiffer. So no, carbon levers are not stiffer, they're often less stiff. If you go in the SRAM groups and you drop down enough from like Red Force, I think Rival is where it starts, Rival Apex, they use aluminum levers, and I kind of think they feel a little better because they're stiffer. And besides the stiffness of the lever, which plays into it, there's a lot of other parts of a hydraulic system that can lead to the feel, feedback, the response you get in your brain as you pull the lever. Campagnolo brakes are considered a class of their own, exceptionally good. When Campy introduced their disc brake 7 years ago, absolutely true. They have not changed their brake, feel, performance in that 7 years. Guess what? SRAM, Shimano, up their game. Campy brakes are still fine. I dare you to get on the new red brakes from SRAM and say the Campy brakes are still a class of their own. As you pull it and the feedback you get and how intuitive it is to know how your finger pull and tension feels, what kind of brake force you're gonna get. Not that the Campy brakes are bad, I'd still descend the Alps in them. Other people have just caught up, and Campy has just kind of like stayed where they're at. You know, not only braking performance, but shifting performance, smoothness, speed, crispness, design, battery life, user friendliness. As I've expressed many times, I am a Campagnolo fan. I want to ride Campagnolo because I love the company, I love the people there, but they need to do better right now. You know, they need to step up and meet this moment. I think they can, but not right now, they're not, and that's kind of why I wrote the story I wrote.